welcome to the Alumni House podcast. There he is. My name is Matt.
I'm the Quacker.
All right, so we are back for a preview episode. First one we've done in a while together. How you feeling tonight, Quacker?
Doing good. Got to go watch the Trans-Siberian Orchestra last night with one of our aunts. And, dude, if you've never been, that is one heck of a show. Like, I can't wait to go see him again. It'll be another year, but it was amazing.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and it's obviously it's especially cool because they're running out of years. Not in a bad way. I mean, they've just been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
So
I actually told somebody I worked with today. I said they want to start finding some new people.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have found some new people, but yeah, I mean, eventually it'll just be a whole new set of people. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, today is December the 18th. You know what that means?
We're really close to Christmas for sure. But we're also a day away from playoffs.
Yeah, but that wasn't either of those were not what I was looking for. So, what it means is that this is the 18th day of December, which means we are real close to the end of 2025. Listen, I just got used to writing 2025, and it's over.
Well, I have to write it so much with work
well, so do I, because I'm really, 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 really meticulous at work when people are indexing files. For me, I have a specific date convention that they have to use, and I use it for my files too, and so I probably type it. I don't know, 5 times a day. So I didn't really just get used to it. But I did have to write 2026 a couple times for some new files today. So that was a little weird. I had to go back and, change the 5 to a 6.
Right.
So tonight is, as the title suggests, we're just going to talk about 4 games. We're going to talk about the upcoming playoffs. And I've got a specific order in mind that we're going to do that. But before we do that, I'm going to hand it over to Quacker for some news and notes playoff edition.
Yeah, there's not a lot here. The last episode we did was basically just catching up on like coaching fires and hirings and stuff like that. Well, we've had a couple more. Ohio has fired their head coach. I had it pulled up and lost it here. His first name is Brian Smith. Brian was not being a very good boy. He was having sounds like more than one extramarital affair, but one was with a current student. He was also apparently partying quite a bit, drinking and stuff like that. And so the university said, this is bringing scandal, disrepute, and ridicule to the university and the athletic program. So they're firing him with cause. Rightfully so. Texas has fired their defensive coordinator, which to me is a little odd because they had a really good defense this year. I haven't read too much into why he's been fired, but they're bringing Will Muschamp back.
That's
Will
why
Muschamp
he was fired. They heard Will Muschamp was available.
Muschamp, he was defensive coordinator and head coach of Waiting under Mac Brown. He was. I don't know if he was on the national championship team with Vince Young, but I know that he was.
He wasn't. Because he went to. He spent some time. He and Jimbo were both at LSU. And then I think he went to Auburn for a little bit, and then he wound up at Texas.
But
yeah,
I know he was on the 09 squad that
Sure.
lost to Texas. I mean, lost to Alabama. But
yeah, and also for those of you who don't remember, he is the until he got to South Carolina, was easily the best defensive coordinator in the game for probably the last 15 years of that. Now, the reason I said South Carolina is because when he was at Florida, even though he wasn't a very good head coach, they still had a top 10 defense every year. So he is, and Durkin, DJ Durkin's from his tree, and what's his name? Who was the coach of the Falcons for a little while?
Quinn?
Yeah, he was under Muschamp too.
Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's older than him. That's
Mm-hmm.
or at least he looks like he's older than him.
I mean, he might be. I just know that a couple of those guys came through Will Muschamp, but it's good to see him back because I don't know how his defensive schemes will work now, but he was an excellent recruiter everywhere he went, and he had killer defenses everywhere he went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
And I think he was at Auburn for 1 year post South Carolina, maybe 2, in his second stint at Auburn. But yeah, I'm happy to see him back. I'm not happy as a, fan of a school that's not Texas, but because that's probably going to be a game changer.
Yeah. I've always liked him. He's loud and boisterous, and he's Kirby Smart in a lot of ways. I mean, not head coach quality, but like those two guys defensively are very similar.
They are.
And they kind of look similar.
But I will. There are two different things though. The two key things. First of all, I think his defense, like on the field, is a lot more aggressive and a lot more. I think it's a lot harder than Kirby Smart's defenses. I think because look at Kirby Smart's defenses at Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. I would say, because Will Muschamp, we saw stifling defenses at 4 or 5 different schools with him. With Kirby, I would say what put Kirby over the edge was having Nick Saban. Not that Nick Saban was doing it all, but I think that the guardrail, whatever guardrails Nick Saban puts up for his coordinators, I think Kirby benefited from that. But here's the other thing, though, and this is something that I will say till I'm blue in the face, because I have seen this firsthand. I don't think you can compare those two in any way when it comes to character. Yeah, Will Muschamp's gonna he's gonna curse like a sailor, and he's gonna get in your face and yell at you. I just saw a GIF today of him getting in somebody's face for just like not getting an extra yard. But he's an old school football coach. But I think he's a good guy. And I've never seen from any of his teams all the shenanigans that we see from the Georgia teams. Never once saw Will Muschamp get out and make excuses. I've seen him do a handful of things that I probably wouldn't do, but they weren't like, he's not a baby, and he's not, he doesn't take the nonsense. So I can see I can see them favoring each other just a little bit, and I can see them having a comp in terms of being two very successful defensive coordinators. But I don't think they compare at all character-wise, and I think Will Muschamp's defense is pound for pound or better, typically.
Maybe over the long term. I mean, but that 2-year stretch where they were back-to-back champions. I mean, that was two of the best defenses that has ever been on the field, especially in this modern era when, you have this spread mentality, whatever plays, it's so much harder to be a shutdown defense. And like, I'll give Kirby that. Like those 2 years, those defenses were some of the best you've ever seen.
Okay, but I would then say when the fun and gun and the spread were more prolific than they are now, go look back at the 2011 LSU defense. Stupid how many NFL players are on that defense. Go look at the 2008 or 2006 Florida defenses. Stupid how many NFL players are on those defenses. The 2008 Florida defense held, I think, at the time, the highest scoring offense of all time in Oklahoma to 14 points in the national championship game. LSU had one of the worst offensive showings we've ever seen in a national championship game. It still only gave up 21 points. And typically you don't see that even with a good defense, because at a certain point, when your offense is doing nothing, and in that game, they didn't even cross the 50 in the first half. When your offense is doing nothing, eventually your defense gives way because they're gassed. I mean, I couldn't even name to you off the top of my head how many, like 10-year plus pros are on those teams, right? So
Yeah.
but that's just two, all right? We could go all the way back to '01 and look at Miami. I mean, do you even want to talk about that defense? I mean, because all we have to say, I'll just give you one name, and this is the only name you need: Ed Reed, the best safety of all time.
Yeah.
And he was one good player on that defense. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they had good defenses with good stats, but I'd be curious to see what their strength of record is again. Like in other words, like what were the quality of offenses they played over those 2 years? Because we can look at the numbers. And that's one of the things that the NFL obviously has an advantage because they have a smaller league. So the gulf in strength of schedule is not nearly as large. Obviously, some teams get the luck of the draw and have an easier schedule. Than others. But it's nothing like it is in college, you know. So, yeah, they were good defenses. But I look, I'm not trashing Kirby's coaching ability. I mean, I honestly think he's a better head coach than he is a defensive coordinator. I think he's a really, really good defensive coordinator. To me, though, I would have taken a handful of guys over him if I had the choice, you know, Will Muschamp being one of them. At the time, I wouldn't do this anymore. I would have taken Charlie Strong for a number of years, but he kind of fell off. But yeah, so I mean, anyway, I mean, I didn't mean to get on that, but that is cool for Muschamp. So
yeah, you talking about the differences in like the way they treat their players and stuff. I saw it was a meme, sort of a meme on Facebook the other day. A car had run through into a grocery store in Athens, and it was a Georgia fan. Like, please don't let this be a Georgia football player that was driving, because you know, like I know you've seen these too. It's like, you know, the best rivalries in college sports, and it's got like Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia football players versus the Athens PD.
I have
LSU, Alabama, you know, funny. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, you know, and it's weird. It's since the NIL stuff has really come on that you've really seen everything with his team off the field has been vehicle related. You know, you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, but it's not just NIL. I'm not going to name the player. Chad, you and I have talked about him off air, so you probably know what I'm talking about. But I have some experience with a player who went to a very high-profile SEC school that won a national championship. That's all I'm going to say. Not going to give you the time frame or anything. And I heard him because he had several mutual friends of mine. I didn't know him from Adam until I was in the room with him. But I heard him say, because my buddy Brian asked him, why did you choose this school? And he said, well, I was going to go here, but I decided to go here because they were going to take care of my kids. And I know for a fact that this guy drove a Cadillac. And if I said the name of the school, it would surprise some people. So my point is, I think it's more than NIL. I think it's the reason that story came to mind is because he was driving an incredibly nice Cadillac, like Escalade, like fully loaded. Okay. What's the difference in then versus now? I mean, people just decide to drive faster. There's something systemic that needs to be fixed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the issue there is, like why it's so prevalent there when you don't see it as prevalent elsewhere. But one other news note, and you know, we'll talk more about portal stuff later on, but this actually is going to affect on field. So TCU's quarterback, Hoover, he's entered the transfer portal, so he's not going to play in the Alamo Bowl. I mean, you were talking about this right before we came on the air. To me, it doesn't make any sense because the portal isn't open yet, so he could still play, and you know, his team wouldn't be, you know, negatively affected for the last game of the season. You know, he could still go in the portal. unless he's just afraid of getting hurt. I don't understand this move by him, but um, that's one domino we're going to see fall. I guess is you haven't seen too many opt outs yet out of bowl games, but
You're talking about
this is
this
the
year.
first one I've seen. Yeah,
Okay, I
this
was
year.
gonna say I've seen a ton. Well, so here's I think the reason. Spring practices get going what in early February. Um, you got to be enrolled probably I would imagine by like the 7th or 8th of January. The Alamo Bowl's on the
Well,
30th. No,
the
it's not, it
portal
has
doesn't open to
it,
January 2nd.
it doesn't matter. That's football. What I'm saying is you still have to get enrolled in a school. You have to physically move
Hmm.
there. You have to register for classes. And all of these things have to happen before classes start. Um, so it doesn't matter when the portal opens, right? What I'm saying is their bowl game is the day before New Year's Eve, which
Hmm.
if he were to play in that game would give him probably less than 10 days to choose, relocate, and get settled into a new school before classes start. Whereas if he doesn't play, he can do his homework, probably knows where he's going as soon as the portal opens. He's probably already moved, and as soon as the portal opens, he officially transfers, and that's that. I'm not defending him, but just in terms of understanding maybe why someone would do that, I think that's plausible. I don't like it and I don't agree with it, but I think it makes sense,
Mm.
So
Yeah, I don't know what the rules and stuff with the transferring are now. I know that it's a little bit different being an athlete as opposed to when you're just a regular student. As to when you can officially enroll and transfer and stuff like that. But
I know, but what I'm saying is like if he all right, similar to how we saw these coaching searches. We know that representatives of these schools were all talking to Kiffin while he was coaching, but they weren't actually talking to him. They were talking to his agent, they were talking to his reps, right? Because
yeah.
that's legally how you have to do it.
Hmm.
Um, these players now can have agents. So he can, any player probably has a pretty good idea of where they want to go. Let's say they can't actually talk to that coach until the portal opens, which is probably true, something like that, because there are some anti-tampering regulations in place. I don't know how well they're enforced, but let's say that they can't talk until the 2nd of January. This player's probably got a top 3 schools. He probably has a pretty good indication which school is going to be the lock for him to go to.
Hmm.
And it's probably like a formality, meaning like he could move to a place, not transfer, not enroll, not do anything. He could move, have all his paperwork ready to go, wait till the transfer portal opens, pull the trigger, file your paperwork, enroll. What I'm saying is, let's just say they start on January the 7th, because that's the middle of the first full week of January. All right, which is probably a week later. Well, let's just say they start then. Or let's say they start the week after. Okay, so 7 more days. All right, so what's that? 12 days between the 2nd and the 14th. So I all I'm saying is that I think a lot of these players, yes, they're going to wait to officially transfer and enroll and all that,
Hmm.
but they're going to be doing a lot of stuff ahead of time. It's kind of like, when you take a new job, you're moving, you don't know where you're going to live yet. You have your moving date, you have your
Yeah.
moving truck set up, you're still looking for your house. But you haven't quit your other job. You haven't even put in your notice yet because you still have 2 months before you know what I mean? I think that
Yeah.
that what you're saying is all correct, but I think all that is timing. I don't think it's, you know, so anyway, who knows? All right, so we're gonna talk about 4 games tonight. I don't imagine we'll talk about many. Well, there are a couple of these I think we'll talk about for a few minutes, but a couple of them I think are going to be short work. But I want to. There are 4 games: one Friday, 3 Saturday, and surely the networks didn't do this on purpose because this is a ratings nightmare for them. But we're going to go exactly in opposite order because that's how the spread is. So we're going to start with the spread that it's the widest, and finish with the spread that is the tightest. And that game is on Friday night.
Right.
So there are 2 games in the afternoon and evening time, both being aired by TNT and True TV. So sorry for you guys because y'all have the 2 with the probably going to have the lowest viewership and the highest spreads. So we'll start at 7:30 p.m. in Eugene. Number 12, James Madison going to number 5, Oregon. This is a 20.5-point spread, and the winner gets Ohio State in the. I just had it pulled up, and I just went away.
Texas Tech.
Nope. Oh yeah. Wait, hold on.
Texas Tech and Orange Bowl.
How did I do that? Well, I don't know how I did
You
that.
didn't put last year's, did you?
No. This is James Madison wasn't in it last year.
Oregon and Ohio State played in the Rose Bowl last year. And that
No,
was...
I wrote them exactly opposite because that's how I was looking at it. But anyway, in the Orange Bowl, they're going to play Texas Tech. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I make no secret on here that I'm a group of 6 fan. This is a Sun Belt team. I am a Sun Belt fan because my team, my alma mater, is in the Sun Belt. I would love to say that James Madison is going to go in here and show out and pull the upset, but they're not. It's been a magical run for James Madison. Heck of a season. Heck, it's been a heck of a 3-year run for him because Kirk Cincinnati got his job because of being so good at James Madison. But I mean, Oregon's going to come in here and they're going to handle business. Like 20.5. That feels like that could be the low end, actually, to me. This James Madison team, they have a good offense. They probably haven't played a defense that's going to be as good as what Oregon's is going to put on the field Saturday night.
Yeah, there's no probability about it.
Yeah. So, well, I guess there'll be Saturday afternoon. But, it's going to be...
No, I was just
because that'd be...
I'm with you. This game's over before it starts. Oregon was the number 1 overall seed last year. Laid an egg.
Yeah.
Now obviously they kind of got a bad draw, which that's been fixed with how they do that this year. But there's no drama in this one for me. I agree with you. I think 20.5 is low.
The biggest drama was what their fit was going to be, and they released that uniform, and it's their classic green jersey with the yellow pants and the green with the yellow wings on the helmet, and it's, everything I was seeing, people were saying, "Oh well, James Madison might as well not even show up because Oregon doesn't lose in these." So,
yeah, I don't know how you feel about this. So, first of all, I mean, I think you and I both like Oregon's uniforms, but I really, really, really hate the whole "we don't lose in these" uniform thing.
Yeah.
Now, oddly enough, I think there's something to the exact opposite. We're wearing this uniform, we're going to lose. I feel like that happens. But the whole "we don't lose in this uniform," I think that's stupid, no matter what the team is. So anytime I hear that, I roll my eyes. And I look, I'm not an Oregon fan, but like I cheer for Oregon unless them winning hurts my team. So,
right.
like casually cheer. And I'm not going to like go out of my way to watch their game, but if they're on and my team's not playing, I'll watch it. I just don't like that in general. All right, so no drama there. So we'll move to the next game. This game, I actually feel like there is a little bit of drama. And that is going to be, so I don't know how I did that because the other games I put all right. I just reversed Ohio State and Texas for some reason, but whatever. At 3:30 p.m., also on TNT and True TV. I don't know why they didn't stagger these so that one game doesn't block the other. The only thing I can think of is because it's the organized playoff system, they'll hold kickoff for one if the other's still on. They do that sometimes, But anyway, if they don't,
that's change your app, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, that's well, yeah, but who cares? I'd much rather change my app than miss football. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
if they're on different apps, I could just put up like a computer and a tablet. Like who cares? You know?
Yeah.
Um all right, so that is number 11 at 3:30 p.m. If I didn't say that, number 11 Tulane going to Oxford to play number 6 Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 17.5 point favorite. The winner gets Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Okay, so look, I think 17.5 is high, but I also don't, and let me explain why. I think Ole Miss. Well, I don't think Ole Miss doesn't have their coach who they had during the season. Yes, they have a permanent head coach, but he's not the coach who coached this team to the playoff. And they beat Tulane earlier, 45-10. They beat them by 5 touchdowns.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, on the one hand, I think I look at 17.5 and I say, yeah, that seems about right. But on the other hand, I feel like we're talking about two different teams here. We're talking about one team with an outgoing coach who's been here all year, and one team with a brand new coach who's been here all year, but it's a new coach. Coaches coach differently. So what we know is that we're going to see John Summerall's best second shot at Ole Miss. What we don't know is what Golding is going to offer because we've never seen it. And we talked about this a little bit the other day. I could easily see this being well. All right, let me just go ahead and just get this out of the way. Ole Miss is going to win the game. They have the athletes. They're at home. They're a better team. Ole Miss will win the game unless Golding just has a complete implosion. But then you got a whole nother problem on your hands because then if you're Ole Miss administration, you got to explain why our brand new head coach just lost in the playoff to Tulane. But then I would be the one saying, well, why'd you kick your other guy out when he wanted to stay to coach the playoff? Why would you put a new guy in that position? So I wouldn't put any of that on Golding, but they will. So, but yeah, Ole Miss is going to win the game. But I don't know how it's going to go, but I actually think this game is one of the more compelling games of the weekend. I feel like, and I know now how I messed it up. I see what I did. I wrote them in order of kickoff time, and then I went straight down with the next round's opponents. So now I understand what I did wrong. So I don't know. I mean, Ole Miss will win. That's my pick. But my thought is I really don't know what to expect from this game, and I could see really any manner of outcome. I could see a close game. I could see a blowout. I guess there's a world where Tulane could win the game. I mean, you do see monumental upsets in football, but you don't see them nearly as much as you do in other sports because the physicality is so much different. So what are your thoughts?
To me, if Tulane is going to is going to win this game, it's going to be because they have kept it close for the first 3 quarters, and Ole Miss is going to play tight in the fourth quarter. I tend to agree that this is going to be a much closer game than the first one, the 45-10 win that they had early in the season. This is a different Tulane team. Much better Tulane team. They went to UTSA, laid an egg, and since then they have been on a tear. John Retzlaff has been playing extremely well. That's the quarterback for Tulane. I think this is a Tulane team that can put a scare into Ole Miss in this playoff game, but I don't know that they can win. If John Summerall wasn't leaving for Florida and wasn't working 2 full-time jobs right now, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable saying I could see Tulane winning this one in an upset. But with him, 1 foot out the door, I know he's doing everything he can to be present and in the moment, but he can't be completely. And I think that's going to be a bit of a hindrance when it comes down to it for Tulane in this game. I think Ole Miss wins. I think this is, the storyline is very compelling. I heard Josh Pate talk about this game. If Ole Miss wins, then and then they lose to Georgia in the next round. That's nobody's gonna say anything. But if they lose this game, it's almost an immediate hot seat that Pete Golding's in.
Right, and that's not fair
they're
to
not
him.
going to fire him. Yeah,
But that's not fair to him. They installed him with 3 weeks before the playoff game.
Yeah,
it's not fair to him or the team.
Yeah.
Now look, if you were in a situation where if you're Michigan and you had to let go of your coach, or your coach was like, I'm out. Period. That's one thing. But your coach was basically demanding to coach the playoff because he wanted to coach his team. You said no. That's on Ole Miss. I don't have any sympathy for them. Now, I have some friends who are like, yeah, I wouldn't want him to coach either. But I'm thinking, dude, like, it just, like, it goes against everything that football teaches you, and you finish what you started. And for all the negative rhetoric that Lane Kiffin's getting, the dude wanted to stay and finish the job.
Yeah.
Why is he the villain in this? That's just not something I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is going to be one of the more interesting games. Definitely one of the ones I'm looking forward to watching the most. All right, so next,
one of the most compelling storylines, just because of all the stuff surrounding it.
Yeah, I agree. So the next matchup is the noon game, and this is on ABC/ESPN. The winner will get Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, and that is number 10 Miami and number 7 A&M. Look, I don't have anything to say about this game. I don't think this game's close. I think Texas A&M's angry. I think they win the game going away. I think Miami scores 10 or less. I don't think it's close.
Really?
Yes. I think A&M's been one of the best teams in the country all year. I think the best two teams in the country are Indiana and A&M. A&M lost the game to Texas. They did not want to lose. It cost them a shot at going to the conference championship game. Okay. And something they have not done, by the way, since they've been in the league. And they wanted to get there before Texas, and Texas is the one who kept them out. I think, we've seen this Miami team kind of be up and down, but mostly kind of weird and all year. So no, I don't think it's close. I think it could be over by halftime.
Okay.
I think there's zero drama in this. I am more sure about this game than I am about JMU and Oregon.
Okay.
I think you don't even have to play the game. Just send in the lineups and move it on.
So Texas A&M, was it 2012 was their first season in the SEC?
That's right.
Okay. So they're now 13 years in the league, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Texas is in year 2, and they've already been to the conference championship game before A&M. So that's
did they go last
them
year?
keeping. Yeah, they lost to Georgia.
See, I don't even remember last year's conference championship game.
Yeah, they lost to Georgia. They knocked Carson Beck out of the game, and Gunnar Stockton came in, and everybody was like, "Oh well, this is clearly an advantage for Texas." Except Gunnar Stockton came in and played. He put on the Superman cape and played Superman for the Bulldogs in that second half and led them to the win. So the fact that A&M had a shot at finally getting to Atlanta, after being in the league for now 13 years, and then Texas, in their second year is keeping them from going to Atlanta after making it their first year, that they're coming in ticked off. Yeah.
Now, they've been close before. They've been close a couple of times. They just haven't punched through yet. But what's interesting, though, Ole Miss has been in the league since before the conference championship was around. They haven't made it. I mean, there's no surprise about Kentucky or Vanderbilt, but nobody's talking about those teams. But Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, y'all are the ones that haven't done it. Vandy and Kentucky aren't going to. I mean, if Vandy was ever going to do it, it was going to be this year. So
And Ole Miss had a chance this year if things had broke right. I mean,
right, of
because
course,
there's
yeah.
kind of a 4-way tie there at the top of the league. But um, you know, A&M. I mean, they had it in their hands, and then they let
Yeah. No, they don't
Texas
have
come
anyone
in
to they
and
don't have anyone to blame, but
yeah,
themselves. But Texas has been Jekyll and Hyde this year, and so
yeah,
we saw them play a weird game against Ohio State, barely lose, beat what I think is one of the best teams in the country in A&M, and Oklahoma they beat, and then they lost to Florida. So
yeah.
and
Well,
they
you
almost
really
lost to
saw,
Mississippi State.
yeah, you really saw Arch kind of turn that corner, and since he's turned that corner, they look like one of the best teams in the country
Hmm.
in the second half of the season. I'd say the final third of the season, they look like one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I haven't been on the Arch hating train at all. So I mean, I don't disagree with that sentiment. But I mean, their line had some pretty big issues all season, like even towards the second
yeah,
half of the
it
year.
did, yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know if I would say they look like one of the best teams. I mean, I think they definitely righted the ship in some ways. But we're getting off topic because Texas is
yeah.
not in the playoff. So
No, they're not.
Who's your pick in this one?
You know, I'm not as comfortable saying that Miami doesn't have a chance in this one. To me, it's which Carson Beck shows up.
Yeah, well, we know which one's going to show up.
Yeah, but we say that, but then we saw him, the year before, when he was a good Carson the whole year, he played well. I mean, like in big spots, he played well. I don't know what happened last year. I don't know if he just wasn't believing in the receivers around him or what. And this year, for the most part, he's played well, but he's had those moments where it's been bad Beck. And I just wonder if this moment is going to be too big for him. If it is, then yeah, Texas A&M goes into this one. Kyle Fields rocking. It would be awesome to see this one played at night. See Kyle Field at night. With the playoff atmosphere and stuff. But I mean, I can see this one getting away quick if Bad Beck is the one who shows up. But I do think A&M wins, but I don't think it's over at halftime unless Carson is just having one of those games where he's thrown 3 interceptions in the first half, and they can't get the ground game going because the front seven for A&M is just plugging all the holes, and they're having to rely on Carson. I think, to me, that's when Carson really kind of gets off is when he has to carry the team. And if the front seven for the A&M defense is keeping the Miami ground game in check, then yeah, this one can get ugly quick.
Well, I tend to disagree a little bit. I think that he struggles when it's a big game, and I don't mean like a game at home against a good team. I mean when the national spotlight's on you, I think he struggles. Go back and watch the Notre Dame game. He had a couple good throws, but he didn't win that game.
No,
but that was probably the best game he had all year. All right, and so I don't know. But look, the more we talk about this, the more irritated I'm getting. I actually think the bracket is really good. I don't really have a problem with any of the selections or where they landed. But I'm thinking about this, and what the heck was the committee thinking making the 5-12 matchup, the Saturday night primetime game? Look, I understand you're going to Eugene, Oregon, and it's Pacific time, but why not you kick the game off at 11 o'clock local time? That's 2 o'clock Eastern. And then just start the next game at like 4:45. They overlap a little bit, but not a lot. All right. But then if you do that and you move the other one to 8:30 instead of 7:30, okay? So you have a little bit of overlap with these games, not very much. It's more airtime for your networks. You can put you'd leave Tulane Ole Miss right where it is, Just move it back to 4:45 or whatever instead of 3:30, and then put Texas A&M and Miami, which is a closer seeded, better spread game anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, why are you putting your second closest first round matchup in the worst slot?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Now, it doesn't matter. The A&M fans are going to be hyped no matter what. So,
Yeah.
and the playoff is new enough that certainly most fan bases should be excited. But I don't love that aspect of it. But all right. So, but you've got who do you have in this one?
I've got A&M.
Okay.
I've got A&M.
All right.
I'm not as confident in it being the type of like blowout type game that you think it's going to be. I think it's going to depend on good Beck, bad Beck, and if we get good Beck, then we got a close game in the fourth quarter, and if we got bad Beck, then it's
So I think you and I totally agree on what is going to determine the game. I just think I'm a lot more confident that we're going to see bad Beck. But yeah, I mean,
I've seen more good Beck this year than we saw last year, so that makes me think that there's still
okay. But he's also been playing in the ACC.
No,
I mean, that can't be overlooked. Like,
it can't.
I mean, you're going you're going from junior NFL defenses to some of these players might get on NFL rosters. I just think it's a different thing, man. Like, when you're playing Kentucky or when you're playing South Carolina or, when you're playing the current state of Florida, you're still playing defenses that have like 4, 5, 6 like long-term NFL players.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are NFL players in the ACC. I'm not saying there's not, but you don't have like a true and right smattering of them on every defense in the ACC. So, yeah, we've seen more good Beck than bad Beck, but we've still seen bad Beck, and we've seen bad Beck against teams that weren't as good as as the teams he played last year. So, all right. So the last game, the game that you and I probably will agree is the best game. That is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Number 9 Alabama going to number 8 Oklahoma. This is 1.5 point spread, Oklahoma's favor, and the winner will get Indiana. So all you had to do is go play the number 1 team in the country if you win this game. No pressure. So, all right, look. I'm going to take Oklahoma for one reason. I want to believe in Oklahoma. I really like Kalen DeBoer as a coach. I really think that this Alabama team is just so much better than people give them credit for. I have a sneaking feeling that they are going to win this game, but I really want to believe in Oklahoma. I want to see some fresh blood from the SEC moving along. To that end, I want to see Ole Miss beat Georgia. I want to see Oklahoma beat Alabama. Let's just get some different teams in there, man. I want to see Ohio State. It's not just the SEC. I want to see Ohio State lose. Let's see Indiana, Texas Tech, and some of these other teams. Ole Miss. Let's see some of these teams move on. So I'm gonna try and will this into fruition by saying that the Sooners are going to win the game.
Oklahoma beat Alabama last year with a terrible offense. They beat them this year with a better offense, but still wasn't playing great. It feels like Brent Venables has got Kellen DeBoer's number right now. It's hard to beat a team twice in the season. I think we're going to see, Ole Miss do it to Tulane, but when you're evenly matched, that's Oklahoma, when you're evenly matched, like this, I mean, we saw it, 2011. LSU and Alabama played game of the century. That's what they called it. 9-6 overtime win. The LSU, squeaks it out, runs through the rest of the SEC. Wins the SEC championship game, They had to play him for rematch, and it was 21-0 final score. One of the worst championship games I've ever watched. It was hard to watch. But you know, now Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. I'm not saying he is, but
But he's
he's
a very
seen this.
competent coach though.
Yes, he's a very confident coach. And he also doesn't have the month to prepare for this that Nick Saban had for LSU in 2011. But I'm sure when they thought there was a chance that they would make the playoff, they started looking at tape for whoever they thought would be a possibility. They probably had tape for for Oklahoma, for Miami, for A&E, for whoever they thought was going to be an opponent. And they had already started looking at some of that. So when they found out Oklahoma, they were like, okay, well, we can go back and just look at what we did this year and last year against them, see what worked, see what didn't. This is going to come down to like the first two matchups in this new era of Oklahoma Alabama football. It's going to come down to the final possession, and this oh, I really don't know which way I'm leaning on this one. A team wearing crimson is going to win. I just am not sure which team. It's um
It's fair.
yeah. You know, I have a feeling Alabama's going to win this game.
Is that
I
your
don't want
pick?
to see them win it, but I guess it is.
Okay.
It's not a confident pick, but it's a pick.
Well, don't feel bad. I picked Oklahoma, and I'm not confident in it at all. So
Yeah.
so I get it. But that is going to be the most compelling game, I think, and then the second most compelling game is going to be the Tulane Ole Miss game, which really, really, really big step down in terms of how compelling it is and how competitive it probably will be. But in terms of the first round games, my opinion is that James Madison, Oregon's not close. Miami A&M's not close. I don't think Tulane Ole Miss is that close, but I think it's closer than those two, and I think this one is the tightest. And here, the cool thing is as frustrated as I am that the JMU Oregon game is the last game of the round. The cool thing is we get the best game tomorrow night. So 24 hours from now, we'll be embroiled in it. Well, all right. So that is your complete.
There's what a difference a year has made in the weather for these games too. Because you remember last year, Ohio State and Tennessee, it was so cold that the helmets were freezing. You saw the helmets shattering when they were getting hit. So and now it'll be 60s for the Ole Miss game. It's going to be comfortable, with a hoodie at most of these like evening games and stuff like this. So you're not
Yeah,
seeing like the
I'd be
the
interested
big weather.
I'd be interested to see what the weather's gonna be like in Eugene, though.
From what I was seeing, it looks like that really the only cold spot we have right now is in the Northeast. Looks like the rest of the country is kind of in a warming phase. I'm not sure what it's like where y'all are right now, but
Yeah, but that warming phase is fading away, and it started in the Northwest, so they're going to be the first ones to lose it. Is what I'm saying. So
yeah,
but to me, I think that the weather being bad is a lot more fun for fans and a lot better for fans. So I actually think that's kind of a loss.
That's what I'm.
The reason I say that is because I think that that's one of the things about home field advantage that you get to flex your muscles with. Man, listen, I love thinking back to turning on the TV during the dead of winter and seeing the Patriots play a playoff game in snow at Foxborough. All right, I love that. So cool. It's cool that we get great weather. I don't, but I, it's fine, I guess. But all the rest of the games from here on out are going to be in sterilized environments inside of domes. So
Yeah.
I'd rather get or Miami.
I,
You
I
know,
mean,
so
I was making the statement that it's interesting, like the juxtaposition. I mean, I love cold weather. I would love to
no.
see
I
it
know what you
be
were saying.
played in
I just
cold
think
weather.
it's.
But
I mean,
yeah,
it is a juxtaposition. That's the third muffed kick that LA's had tonight. Sorry. Totally. I just happened to look up for the third time, see a muff kick by them. No, I understand what you were saying, and that's fine. It kind of annoys me a little bit just because I want to. That's one of the things I think is awesome
yeah,
about this new home field playoff thing is, like I want it to matter when you go to Norman. It's gonna matter. The fans are gonna matter, but it's not gonna be real cold in Oklahoma. Now Texas A&M, it doesn't matter because it doesn't get super super duper cold in College Station for the most part anyway. But the draw to Kyle Field is the 12th man. It's not weather. You know? So
yeah.
So that's the one game that I think really, it wouldn't have mattered. All the rest of these, I wish there were some adverse conditions, just because I feel like that's part of what you earn by getting this spot. But all right, so that is a complete picture of the first round, and we will come back at you either Monday or Tuesday and talk about the second round with the winners of the first round and what we're excited about with those matchups. But with that, do you have any final thoughts?
It's right here at the end of the year. It's hard to believe we're already at the end of the year. It feels like we just started it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I mean, some good games here to look forward to the next couple of days. We're still in the midst of bowl season right now. It's not what it used to be, but I still love bowl season. I'm looking forward to watching Southern play Tuesday. The only thing with that is it's in the afternoon. Like I'll still be at work when it comes on, so I won't get to like kick my feet up and just watch the whole thing like I would love to. But yeah, I mean this has always been one of my favorite times of the year, but because of like the bowls and stuff like that, and we're losing a little of that with the playoff, or we're losing a lot of that with the playoff. But
I don't think it's just a playoff. I mean I still love this time of year, but the bowl games and bowl season used to be just one part of that made me really love this time of year. Now it's not a factor at all. I don't even watch the bowl games because none of them matter. And I'm looking at you, college football, for all this transfer portal and NIL stuff. Like, fine if you want to do those things. Well, let me back up. Fine if you want to do NIL. I still don't understand transfer portal. I think it's ridiculous. I think if you want to lift you have to sit out a year for your first transfer, fine, do it. I'm totally fine with that. But how about you lift that year and then every subsequent transfer you lose a year of eligibility? Like, because, and this opt-out stuff. And so I remember when it started. The elder Bosa brother got hurt in the middle of the season opted out for the rest of the season because he was going to be a high draft pick. Great. You just opened slowly the gate that is now, flooding open.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to dwell on it. I already have a little bit. I'll get off my soapbox, but no, I basically have abandoned bowl season altogether. I don't think there's a bowl that's not worthless anymore. Because if you have one team that's got their whole team there playing the game, the other team probably doesn't, and you have antics like what Notre Dame did. We didn't get in the playoff. We're not going to go to a bowl game. Last year, Florida chose a lesser bowl so that they would travel less far. So I forgot the bowl. It might have been like I don't know. It was some bowl in Texas, and they said no, so they could go to the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. Dude, like, bowl games mean nothing anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I said I wasn't going to dwell on it. I'm dwelling on it because I'm frustrated. But I wish I could be you and still be excited about it, but I'm not. I'm not until they put some chips back in the bag. Stop going to commercial every 3 freaking plays. Fix this stupid clock stuff to make it feel like the NFL. I love the NFL, but I love the NFL for different reasons than I love college football. I want college football to go back to the way it was, and I'm not talking about 1950. Go back to the way it was in 2016. It was great. There was basically nothing wrong with college football. Leave the 12-team playoff and go back to how everything else was. And by the way, the Seahawks are a 2-point conversion away from tying this game. So just FYI, in case you were wondering. That's interesting. Because
last I saw it was 13-14 Seahawks.
No, it was 13-14. But the Rams were up 30-14. And the Seahawks just scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2.5 minutes. All right. So, so we'll see you guys on Monday or Tuesday. You can find us on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I think.
Yeah.
Well, we have an Instagram. I don't know if our videos are on there. Our personal handles are below us. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you. Hold on. I can do it. There we go. We'll see you next time.